Until recently, I knew almost nothing about football betting. My only interest years ago was purely commercial. Like many entrepreneurs, I had once weighed setting up a betting platform simply as a business, actually a business venture. Beyond that spreadsheet curiosity, I understood little. Not the rules, not the strategies, not what pulled a young man into a kiosk on a Tuesday afternoon to stake money he could not easily spare. Then betting fever swept across the continent and my country Cameroon along with it. Betting shops multiplied along the same streets as a mobile money kiosk, sometimes sharing the same and small stall. Young men huddled over phones, comparing odds on Premier Bet and 1xBet with the same seriousness other men once reserved for village council meetings. I became curious enough to stop working past and start watching. I wanted to understand what was drawing thousands of people day after day into shops where the house rarely loses. What I found there was not a story about gambling, it was a mirror, and what it reflected had everything to do with leadership. So, the default is to lose. The first thing I notice is one every serious bettor already knows. The system is built so that losing is the default. The odds are stacked quietly and by design against the person placing the bet. Life runs on the same design. It is easier to lose a football match than to win it one. Easier to fail an exam than to pass it. Easier to drift into an average, unremarkable life than to build an exceptional one. Winning in betting, in football, in business, in leadership rarely happens by accident. It has to be built against the grain of an outcome that will happen anyway if nobody intervenes. A winning team trains, strategizes, and executes with discipline. A student who passes has studied and revised long before the exam paper is placed on the desk. Even the bettor who beats the odds, more often than not, has gathered information, tracked form, and made calculated decisions rather than followed a hunch. In every case, someone did something deliberate to counteract a default that was already working against them. Let's look at success as a counterforce. This reframed how I think about leadership entirely. Failure needs no help. It happens naturally when nothing is done. On the other side, success has to be manufactured on purpose against resistance. Preparation, persistence, discipline, and resilience are not virtues in the abstract. They are the counterforce that overcomes the invincible pull, dragging every effort back towards complacency and defeat. What struck me most watching those betting shops was how the sharpest bettors and the sharpest leaders learn to respect probabilities rather than emotions. Hope is not a strategy. Wishful thinking is not a strategy. The man staking his last coin on a feeling loses to the man who has done the analysis almost every time. The lesson is simple, though not easy. If I consistently take deliberate, informed action against the natural tendency to fail, success becomes difficult to miss. Not because it is guaranteed, but because I have placed myself on the side of probability that favors it. So, what about leadership? Leadership is not hope, it is preparation. I no longer take winning for granted. Behind every success, I now look for the preparation and the disciplined decision that made it possible. Because they are always there, even when hidden from view. Leadership, I have come to understand, is not about hoping for a favorable outcome. It is about creating the conditions that make a favorable outcome more likely. The choices made today that quietly shift tomorrow's odds. And the people who succeed most consistently are rarely the most talented or the most privileged. They are the ones who have accepted that life by default offers resistance, and who therefore prepare more thoroughly, think more carefully, and act more deliberately than everyone standing next to them at the kiosk. That is why the betting shops on our streets carry a lesson worth more than anything printed on their oddballs. Success is never the default outcome. Failure, stagnation, and drift are what happen when nobody intervenes. Success belongs only to those who consciously and repeatedly apply the counterforce required to overcome that default. I think back now to the man I once was, the one who looked at betting only as a business opportunity and understood nothing of what actually happened inside those shops. I know better now. The real bet was never on a football match. It was on whether I would keep expecting success to arrive or start building the conditions for it to. I stopped admiring results and started studying process. I stopped chasing luck and started building discipline. And that, in the end, is the whole lesson. Success in whatever you do is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. The reward reserved for those who deliberately and repeatedly bet against the default. This is Aventure on Living Lectures.